Hi, I'm Daniel Raesbeck from the CATO Institute. I work on Latin America, and I think that one issue that's usually absent with these discussions is the lack of property rights, subsoil rights in pretty much the entire world except for the United States. So the way I usually explain it is that if the Beverly Hillbillies had been in Mexico, they would have been expropriated instead of being able to go to Beverly Hills. And I think it's relevant for the for the energy crisis now, because you think how much extra oil and gas would there be out in the market if these countries had more efficient subsoil rights, if you didn't depend on companies like Pemex or Petrobras, or in Colombia, for instance, the current president is banning oil and gas exploration just now due to climate fanaticism. So I would just want to throw that out there. Subsoil rights, I think, is going to be essential, especially in the developing world.
If I may comment, let me just say that I am really glad to see Cato at this discussion. You guys are really impressive, and it's nice to see you, entering into a consideration of these ideas. In the framework that I use, expanding freedom for problem solvers, that includes property rights, because if we don't have property rights, there's no freedom for anyone, right? If everything belongs to the government, you don't have any freedom to do anything. So essentially, property rights are a subset of freedoms, and that's why I lead with it. I don't lead with property rights, but I lead with freedom. But it includes property rights for darn sure, And let me just say, with respect to that, in terms of climate change, the deforestation of the rainforest is almost entirely caused by governments owning far too much rainforest land. And the inadequate protection of private property rights, or even recognition of them, inadequate rule of law, is leading to a tragedy of the commons. There are perfectly good models for reforestation. In the United States, we have had property rights, and we also introduced, conservation easement tax deductions to make it easier to conserve land. Since those were introduced under Ronald Reagan and, before him, President Ford, since the 1980s, the United States has regrown about 33 million acres of forests on private land. So think about if we used a paradigm like that throughout the rest of the world and bake that into these agreements, what we could do to stop and reverse deforestation globally, it would be quite impressive.